So for this section, this is 9-2, if you're looking in the book. For this section, I need you to understand that the end goal, and I want you to think about what we're doing for the end goal. I'm going to use a lot of this stuff to get all the way to the end of, we're going to learn how to find the vertex of your parabola. Okay? So that's either the minimum or the maximum, but we're going to end up finding the vertex, just that one point, the xy ordered pair for the parabola. So it's either going to be the highest or the lowest point, depending on that parabola. Okay, so to get us started off, we need to find what's called the zero of a function. And if I go into my book and I read it, and I actually did this for you this weekend, I read through the book, and it gives me this really long definition, and it's very wordy. Here's the basic concept of this. The zero of a function, it's basically your x-intercepts. It's where the parabola crosses the x-axis. Okay? So the zero of functions, where the line that's being wrapped where it crosses the x-axis. If you think back to linear functions, we use the y-intercept a lot. That's where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay? When you find the point where your parabola crosses over the x-axis, the y value will be 0. Okay? So there's 3 scenarios here. The first one, I could have a parabola crossing at 2 spots on the x-axis, and that would be part A. I have my parabola, I can see it crosses the x-axis here and here. It crosses at -1 and at +2. I can look at that and see it clearly crosses at those 2 points. However, I need to go and check. Since it has 2 points, I want to check 2 different, I want to have 2 different checks. Okay? I'm going to plug in the -1 for every x value. Okay? Whenever I do that, I want my answer to end up as 0. That's the goal. Okay? Now, here's a side note, and I want you to write this piece down. This is an important piece, especially whenever you're checking. If your x value is negative, this is where mistakes will happen. Make sure that you put parentheses around your negative number whenever you're plugging it into the calculator. If an x value is negative, you want parentheses around the negative sign and the number. And if it helps, make a little T-chart. Do not. You want to do this. You do not want to do this. Who can remind me why not? Why not, Armin?
When you square 1, you get 1, and then the negative goes afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you come in.
Okay. And then if I square the negative and the 1 together, they both get squared together. This will end up with +1. This will end up as a -1. Okay? All right. So I have my 2 zeros of this function. These 2, I can check it. This zeroes out, this zeroes out. y equals 0, y equals 0. Remember that whenever you're doing this, the y value will be 0. So that works. Let's look at the second scenario. I could have one spot where the line touches the x-axis. And same thing, once you find that number, and in the graph you can clearly see it most of the time. I see that it's at positive 1, so I'm going to take that and plug it in back into my equation, my function of y equals. Plug it back in, and it should zero out. Y equals 0. So that one checks out. If there's one spot, then you should have one check. Okay? Then we have this third situation. The line, the parabola, does not cross the x-axis. So you're just going to say there are no zeros of this function. That's all you need to say. No zeros of this function. In the classwork that you're getting, you're going to have the first section. It's asking you what are the zeros of this function. You're either giving me two numbers if there's two spots, one number if there's one spot, or you're telling me there are no zeros of this function. Okay? Alright, let's talk about axis of symmetry. Thinking back to your elementary years, in 4th grade we talk about symmetry. What does symmetry mean? Violet, what does it mean?
The same.
It's the same on both sides. Guess what? That word has not changed. It still means the same on both sides. You're going to be putting a line directly down the middle. You're going to bisect this parabola. You're going to be making a line that's symmetric. It's creating symmetry on both sides. In this one, I'm going to go through the two. Let's actually get the definition here. Axis of symmetry is the vertical line that divides the parabola in half. Now later in geometry, you're going to hear the word bisect. That's the same thing. It's dividing it exactly in half. It's bisecting it. All right. Two situations here. I could have 1, 0. That's where the line touches just the x-axis at that one spot. That means the vertex in this situation is 3, 0. The y is 0. My axis of symmetry is at positive 3. Basically, I can draw a line where x equals 3, and that divides that in half. It bisects the parabola. Okay? Now, I have 2 zeros, so it doesn't touch just at that one spot. You have two different spots. Let's say I have these two spots. How do I get the average of two numbers?
Add them together and divide by 2.
There you go. Add them together and divide by 2. You're going to take your x values, -4 and 0 in this situation. You're going to add them together and divide by 2. You're basically finding the average of your 2 points. And your axis of symmetry is x equals -2. I can draw a line at x equals -2, a vertical line, and it bisects it. I'm going to write right here average, because that's just to remind you that's all you're doing. Okay, let's move to the back. Any questions on this piece right here? It's very straightforward. However, it does build. I can tell you, I was talking to Miss Cecila, who taught this last year. It's been a while, and I can remember my